lot of people can't read 1 to 10 in Yoruba. I'll help you as I call Cynthia to come on stage. 1, no come. 2, AG. 3, ETA. 7, AJ. Just imagine you were taught maths in Yoruba, you'll be a whole lot better. Put your hands together for Cynthia.
Ihe achọ imeta wu iji ise amụba ọbụna nọmba bụ nọmba ndị ahụ ndị bekee na-akpọ even numbers. Ka ị ga-esi mata nọmba bụ ọbụna nọmba. Ọbụna nọmba bụ nọmba ndị ngụsị ha na-awa 2, 4, maọbụ 6, maọbụ 8, maọbụ 0. Nọmba ọbụna ngụsị ya bụ ihe ndị a ịma na nọmba ndị ahụ bụ ọbụna nọmba. Ịma atụ, enye gị 152 si gị jide 5 mụbaa ya. Ihe ị ga-eme nzọụkwụ 1 kewa ya 2, ikewa nọmba ahụ enye gị 2, ikewa ya 2. Ihe ị ga-enwewu 76 nzọụkwụ 2. I were ihe ahụ inweta mbụ, itinye ya 0 na ngụsị ya. Itinyecha ha n'efu ahụ imesigo. Ọ bụrụ na i were ihe a na-eji agbakọ ihe dịka calculator, ịpịa ihe a na calculator gị, ihe ị ga-enweta wụ 760.
I like when someone said Igbo kwenu. Let's do it again. Igbo kwenu. Igbo kwezono. Okay, I don't know what the Yorubas say, so please pardon me. And then the Hausas and the so many languages we have in Nigeria. My name is Cynthia. I'm a mathematician and I love to teach and discuss mathematics. And very recently, I found a new passion in discussing and teaching maths in various languages that I can speak, like Pidgin, Igbo, and also championing the teaching of maths in other languages that I don't know how to speak yet, even though I intend to learn more. So can I start with the slides, please? So I'll be speaking on driving STEM through indigenous languages. I don't want to assume, how many of us here enjoyed learning maths while in secondary school or primary school? You enjoyed learning maths? Okay, hands down. I'm seeing less than 50% of the hands of the people here. So as a student, can you all hear me? As a student, I enjoyed learning maths not until I got to my SS2. And at that point for me, it was a turning point for me because before then I had hated maths like a lot of people. And the amazing thing about hating STEM, because STEM is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, is that sometimes this thing is generational. Sometimes our friends, our elder siblings, or people around us just told us the subject was difficult. So I'll first of all be sharing on how I started teaching maths in indigenous languages like Pidgin and please next slide from there. How I started teaching maths in indigenous languages. So 2 years ago, I was working on a project with the US Consulate and we were teaching kids in Port Harcourt. The very first day we got into that environment and I carried out the pre-test, I found that just the pre-test questionnaire, those kids could not fill it without calling the attention of some of the volunteers we had there. And it brought something to my mind. I said, if these kids cannot fill out a simple pre-test and data collection form that's supposed to just take their name, their age, sex, and all of those things, how can you teach them maths in pure English? So by the next time I came to the class, I started teaching them maths. I had to change the plan I had. I planned being a program by the US consulate, it was expected you teach in pure English. So I had to go back and tell them, if I teach in pure English, in the next 1 year, the results we want to get from these children, we will not get it. Imagine telling someone about consecutive numbers. That's a big English word. But if you can break it down to them, maybe in Igbo, in Pidgin, or any language you're familiar with, they catch it very fast. So sometimes I tell people, maths is not difficult, it's all about the communication. There's this Nigerian guy that speaks lots of big English. Patrick, yeah, lots of you know him. My husband loves him so much because he likes that type of English. And I'm like, if you're saying something and people don't understand you, in my opinion, I don't feel like you're communicating. So if you're teaching kids maths and they cannot understand you, I don't also feel like you're communicating. So I had to go back and rework my curriculum to teach maths in Pidgin. And for me, that was difficult because I've always, for over 9 years, taught maths in pure English language. So I had to start teaching maths in English, in Pidgin, and after that, I went into teaching maths in Igbo, like you can see in the video. So I have an organization called Maths Afrique. Next slide, please. I have an organization called Maths Afrique, and our goal as an organization is to breed the next generation of maths geniuses in Africa. What do we do? Now, I want to say this. Some people had phobia for maths or felt like they didn't know maths because of their results. Am I communicating? Like, oh, when your result comes out in maths and maybe you see an E, a D, or C, sometimes it's demoralizing because most times it's all about the exam. So what we do in our maths club is there's no exam. You just come and have fun with maths. And guess what? Since we started that club since last year, no student has ever missed coming to class. In fact, after the maths class, people don't want to go home. It's amazing how if we are able to take out some of the pressures we put on students like exams and all of those things, you see that people will just love maths. So imagine we were to give people maths exams in Igbo languages. Let's say people that are in the rural areas like Tik villages in Imo State where I come from, Tik villages in Hausa, we gave them, Tik villages in the north, we gave them maths exams in their languages. I believe it's going to be something that will increase the level of technological advancement we see in the world today. I met a doctor yesterday. He was telling me about a research that was done years back where they had two groups of students. One particular group was being taught every science subject in Yoruba language, and then they were taught English language as a language alone. And then another group of students were being taught everything in English language and were taught Yoruba language as a language alone. And guess which group performed better? Is it group A, the first group, or the second group? Which do you think? The first group. The first group that learned every subject in Yoruba and then learned every subject in Yoruba and then learned English as a second language performed better. Because as humans, we first think in our native languages, but it happens so fast, and then sometimes you don't even realize you're doing it. We think in our native languages, and then we quickly translate. So as an organization, why are we doing this? First, over 80 million Nigerian kids are in the school age, and we have lots of children who don't do well in maths, who have phobia for maths. I worked on a project for the past 6 months at community secondary school in Nkolu, Port Harcourt, where I taught maths for 6 months. The SS3 students, it's amazing to know that at SS3 level, I gave someone 4132 to write in words, and the person wrote for me 4,1, 3, 2. I'm telling you, God knows I'm saying the truth. Honestly speaking, when I saw the paper, if I almost cried, I was so heartbroken. I said that SS3. So what do you want to write in WAEC? In fact, before I came for that class, I was contracted by the Center for Excellence in Maths to do the project for them in River State. So I went online, I got the WAEC maths curriculum, I prepared everything I was going to teach them. And so I was like, I normally start with the pre-test. So I said, okay, let me go have a chat with these kids, know the level where they are, maybe in school and all. These kids never had teachers in their, never had a maths teacher throughout their SS1. At SS2, they had a maths teacher that was not consistent. And then, at that time, they were in SS3. So by the time I interacted with them, the next time I came, and that first day, I came with SS1, SS2, and SS3 textbook. But guess what? The next class I had with them, I came with a primary 6 textbook. Because the textbooks, in fact, I never used the SS1, 2, and 3 textbook till about after 2 months. Because we had to go back to learning how to translate words, translate numbers from figures to words. These kids even know the simple concepts of division, multiplication, and all of those things. We had to go over all of those things again. And guess what? That school is in a local environment. Could it be that those kids were suffering from the big grammar their teacher was just teaching them with? You know, so that's part of why we do that. The second one is we have less than 50% of those writing WAEC getting a credit in their maths WAEC. And the amazing thing about this is you need at least a credit in most courses to even further your education. So it's important for us to get it right with mathematics in particular. Talking about the credits, how many of them are even credible? We have lots of schools organizing special answers for the students. Some schools I've heard, they just put the answers on the board for the children to copy. And the bad part of it is some people still copy wrong from the board. I mean, like, somebody said it's the village people. Oh my God. So, I mean, you can imagine, because those people sometimes don't even understand the concept of the numbers they are seeing on the board. Next slide, please. So we've done this, we've taught in indigenous languages with different group of students. We've impacted over 1,500 students. And one amazing thing about this project we've been doing over the years is we've seen even the kids that were considered to be the dumbest to become the smartest. I was teaching a boy and I told him whole numbers. He doesn't even know what whole means. So imagine the teacher coming to class and then saying, oh, whole numbers, this and that. The guy doesn't know what whole. He had to tell me, auntie, wetin be that whole? Whole now, waiting. I was like, whole numbers. You know, number where they together, where no be. You know, I had to start explaining to the guy, and he was like, now wetin they mean? See, for primary 5, my teacher been talk that thing. No, I go house, I come the thing, say whole number. Wetin be whole number? And this is real. This is real. So part of what we are championing is some of us teach people tech. Some of us deal a lot with a whole lot of locals. Please don't be a Patrick to them. When you go there, try and understand what language do these people speak most? What language do you understand best? Even if you can't speak their language as a person, it draws something to your attention that you need to get someone who can speak the language to translate for you. So like the bankers and all of that were saying, just maybe one thing that can make Nigeria go very fast in the banking is maybe if we have the apps in Igbo, in Pidgin, in Yoruba, or in all of those languages. And the third reason why we do this is, among all the kids we've taught, over 93% of them have shown full understanding of the teachings in maths. And you know, it's very amazing because they've never had that experience before. Like, there's a boy that dropped out of school for over 4 years, and the reason he dropped out was he felt he was dumb. And the thing about maths is people feel like you have to be very smart to be able to do maths. Trust me, I'm not even one of the smartest persons. But because I just was taught maths in the language I understand, that was what made me excel in the things I did in maths. So just maybe that guy or girl you think doesn't know maths very well may just be pushed if you can teach the person maths in his or her languages. Let's go to the next slide, please. So we have the world's largest factory in China, and I want someone who knows what language China uses in teaching the citizens maths. Please, if you know what language they use in teaching maths or technology, please tell me. Sorry? Okay, just one person maybe. One person, one volunteer, please. I've not been to China before, so maybe someone who has been there or that knows someone, please tell me. Mandarin. Wow. So is it English? What language is Mandarin? It's Chinese. It's Chinese, right? So my question is, could it be that the reason why China is this developed is because they are being taught in their local languages? Could it be? It's a question we all should answer. Could it be? Next slide, please. Now, the amazing thing about China is that almost a whole lot of things we are using here. In fact, some people from their cap to their shoe is what? You said it, so not me. From their cap to their shoe. Maybe this tag was even made in China and assembled here. They produce over 70% of the world umbrellas. They produce over 65%, over 80% of the world's air conditioners, over 70% of the world's mobile phones. They produce everything, even the toys. The toys I used as a baby when I turned to the back, they're made in China. I have a little son. Someone bought him a toy car 2 days ago. I turned to the back, made in China. I said, what? Our kids in Aba and Onitsha, they can do this thing. And maybe even better than what they have in China. So let's go to the next slide. This brings a question to us. Could it be that the next Africa China could be Aba? Could it be? Could it just be that Aba could be the next Africa China? Could it be that if we can switch from teaching those in the interior part of Aba, who are mostly into all of these developments and innovations and technology and all of this, could it be that if we can take all of these teachings to their native languages and start teaching them that way, could it be that they will just get better? Someone gave an illustration yesterday of maybe someone who studied mechanical engineering in maybe Harvard or something and is being brought to do a training for mechanical engineers, and he comes and he's using metallic, terminologies. Those people may be lost. They just may be lost. So could it be that just moving, just this little shift, I don't mean that you should go to a British or American school in Nigeria and start teaching them in native languages. No. I'm just talking about understanding the group of people you're working with. You could be someone developing apps. And I want you to take this back with you today. Are you just developing your app for only those who can use English? Are you thinking about those who cannot use English? Are you thinking about those in the local areas? Next slide, please. Now you see this group of boys. The one that did the architectural design is in Anambra State, and some of them are bar locals. This is what they could come up with. Can I shock you that maybe these children may never have a chance to go to the university because they may not credit their maths as a result of the language barrier? Could it also be that they might not have a chance to be a tech guru like you or study science just because the chemistry, physics, and biology are like jargons to them? Could it just be that their chance to becoming bankers and all of the beautiful things they want to be will just be thwarted because of a simple thing that you and I were created to solve? Yes, I'm Igbo, but it wasn't very convenient for me to start teaching maths in Igbo. I had a lot of learning to do, but I found out that there are some people that need to be reached. And that's why I have a YouTube channel and do all the things I do to push those messages out to those people. Next slide, please. Could it just be that The whole world is waiting for what you and I can do. And I want to tell you this. The story of Africa cannot be told without our languages. Don't feel like it's not cool to speak your native language. I speak my native language, but I travel. If I go to anywhere and it's time to speak the Queen's English, we switch. If it's time to speak the Igbo, I switch. If it's time for Pidgin, I switch. It's not uncool to use your local language. So please, in your space, if you hire workers, excuse me, maybe local, excuse me, maybe local workers that are working on some projects with you, and you notice that these people don't speak good English. In fact, some people do not hire people who do not speak good English. It depends. If they're not going to be on the front desk, I have a lady on my staff team. Her English is very bad, but she's one of my best maths hand. So before I send her to teach a client, I tell them first off, don't listen to her English. She's coming to teach your child maths and not English. Thank you.